Hey, what up, everybody? This is Steve Breach coming to you. News coming today out of the WWE Investors Call with Vince McMahon. Him rolling out numbers for the WWE Network. They're a little bit down from where they were WrestleMania time, but no need to panic for WWE. One of the things that Vince McMahon did roll out for the upcoming session of the WWE Network for people that he's unveiling what it is that's going to make people stay subscribed or come and subscribe to the table. Last time they came out and they announced they were going to have Jerry Springer host the show. The producers of Jackass were coming in to make WWE Swerved. And I will say that the Springer show was all right. I think that I've watched every episode. I don't think that the Springer show brought anybody in to the WWE Network. But if you're a longtime wrestling fan, what I liked about the Springer show, honestly, was that he would talk about an angle that happened back in the Attitude Era or even before that maybe you hadn't thought about in a long time. And then in a matter of about a minute, he would roll all of the important clips that would put the story back together and make you remember everything that happened to make you get there. So honestly, if you haven't checked out the Springer shows, I think they're only a half hour long. Go out of your way to make sure and sit down and watch an episode or two of those to see if you like them and check them out and see where you go from there. WWE Swerved honestly has won me over. I do like that show. Once again, I don't think that anybody's going to be subscribing to the WWE Network. I think there's just an added thing to make you watch the network if you have the network. If you haven't seen an episode or two of that, make sure you check it out. Honestly, it took me till episode 4 to really say that I like the show and that I really did like watching it. For here, the WWE has announced that they're going to have the following programs on the WWE Network for the third quarter. Probably the highest ranking show that I think people are really going to care about is a reality series based on the NXT roster as the up and coming superstars strive to make the main roster. I think that this would be really fun if they really treat it like it's a real deal, not treat it like it's WWE Tough Enough, but honestly just basically have cameras in the performance center as we get to see these guys work out and train. WWE, they film their NXT shows and they film a series of months of tapings in a matter of a few days. They do a few house shows throughout the year, and then we really don't see these guys all that much unless you follow them on Twitter. We don't really know what goes on inside the performance center with getting trained by Albert and Sarah Del Rey and things like that. So this could be really, really fun to see this one. There's not a lot of news on this, but a show called Table for Three. This is a new series that gives viewers a seat at the table with a superstar and diva. When they unveiled Renee Young's new show, I believe it's called Unfiltered, the first episode was a sit down at a breakfast joint with Seth Rollins, just shooting the shit, talking about really nothing about wrestling, and I really liked it. And then from there, they started sending Renee Young to press junkets. She interviewed the stars of Magic Mike. She interviewed Melissa McCarthy and the chick from Family. I can't remember what that show is called, but it's a funny show. I've only watched it once when they went to Disneyland, but I've always told myself that I would jump on and watch it. But that Renee Young show has turned into something that I didn't really think it was going to be. So hopefully this is more like a sit down, when they're eating breakfast, and you can actually hear their conversation about what's going on throughout the day. From there, they're introducing these shows. One's called the 20th anniversary of Monday Nitro. If this is a one-time deal where they bring back stars that talk about Monday Nitro coming back, I think it could be good. But honestly, with other things like WCW Nitro Accelerating the War, and then also a show called Raw Attitude Era Part 2, they just did, I believe, a 18-week series on the Monday Night War, doing a different documentary on different things throughout the whole deal. I think they've pretty much covered everything from WCW and from WWE, covering the Monday Night War, introducing 3 more shows that are supposed to have people, turning on the WWE Network. I think this is a little bit too much. Honestly, with Austin versus McMahon, when they did the WWE Rivalries, Episode 1 and Episode 2, I think that was a little bit too much to cover for Austin and McMahon. they have a real historic rivalry in WWE, only covering a certain amount of years, and trying to stuff that into two different shows instead of just cutting it down and putting it into one, made it where that show didn't really have the long-lasting thing. The WWE rivalries is not on this list of getting new episodes. Honestly, I believe that is something that they really should go back to. The Flair versus Dusty WWE rivalries episode was very good. Matt Hardy versus Edge was another very good episode. I will say that the Edge and Christian versus the Hardy Boys wasn't as good, and then the Austin versus McMahon one was just a little bit too much. But I think there are definitely more WWE rivalries. I know that you don't want to be covering really Hulk Hogan, giving him new shows, but I think if you go back to it later on down the road, Hogan versus Warrior, Hogan versus Piper, there's a lot of rivalries that could be covered. Steamboat versus Savage would be a great one, seeing how Savage just went into the Hall of Fame this year, and Steamboat's still around to talk about all those legendary matches that they had. You can even do, it's been beaten to death, but you can do Brett versus Shawn. You can do Shawn versus, they did Shawn versus Triple H. You can do Shawn versus Diesel. Razor Ramon versus Triple H. There's lots of matches and lots of rivalries that could be covered in there. But WWE 24 coming back, I think that was a very good show. They put up covering WrestleMania 30, and then they took a long time off, and then they did at 24 about Booker T, which was supposed to be a documentary, which ended up getting scrapped, but they were able to save it with that, and then taking almost a whole year off before coming back with episode 3, talking about Roman Reigns and his build up to WrestleMania 31. But the Stone Cold podcast is always one of the hottest things that comes on. Of course, on Monday, they're going to be interviewing Paige in San Jose. That's going to be a fun one. But, there was rumors about him having Undertaker. There was rumors about him having Hulk Hogan. In the upcoming months, of course, the Hulk Hogan episode has been scrapped with him being fired from WWE. But there's plenty of people that Stone Cold could be interviewing that could be legendary. Of course, it's a little bit weird. I don't know if Undertaker is booked for San Jose or not, but for not have Undertaker on the Stone Cold Steve Austin podcast on Monday, especially if he's going to be there, that's definitely where I would have gone with that. But we'll have to see. Honestly, I think it's kind of negative that WWE keeps rolling out the 1 month free trial, knowing that there's people out there who know how to scam the system. And there's people out there like me who love WWE, who love the WWE Network, who knows that they get their money's worth out of it, who've had no problems, not having it since day one. But those are your new shows, the new programs that are going to be rolling out for WWE and my thoughts on them. So peace out, and I'll see you guys down the road.